All right, so the purpose of this video is going to be to help you to understand demand curves and how they shift. I'm not going to go through all the slides that have text on them because hopefully by this point you've went through those slides yourself when you fill out the notes. But basically we're talking about things that can shift the demand curve or determinants of demand. And you can see that they're all listed here: changes in population, changes in income, changes in people's tastes and preferences, or when an item becomes a fad, the availability and price of substitutes, and then the price of complementary goods. So the first one is changes in population. So we're going to look at the demand curve here and how changes in population could shift it. Before we get to that, though, just a reminder or make sure that you understand. Let's say that we're looking at this green curve, which we call the default curve. If we're on the green curve, so if the price of our product changes, the demand is going to change and just move to a new point on this same curve. So let's say that we sell cups of coffee, and this is how many cups of coffee are demanded per month. So we run a coffee shop, and let's say that right now we're selling our coffee for $4 right here on the green curve, which means each month we have 6,000 cups of coffee that are being demanded. So our customers come in and buy 6,000 cups of coffee. If we change our price, so if we increase our price, if everything else stays the same, so the only thing that changes is our price, we'll go up to this point where we're now selling them for $5 and our demand is going to drop to 4,000 because of the law of demand. As our price goes up, our quantity demanded goes down. Now let's say that something else happens. So in this case, our population changes. Let's say that we're selling coffee here in Isle, Minnesota, where, in the winter our population is about 700, but let's say summertime hits and we get a bunch of tourists that show up, people that live at their cabins over the summer. What's going to happen is our population goes up, which means our opportunities to sell are also going to increase. So we're going to shift from this default curve over to curve R. So our price didn't change. We're still selling them for the $4 we said we were. But now instead of selling 6,000 cups of coffee, we're going to sell 8,000 because we now have more people to sell to. And of course, the opposite is also true. Let's say when fall comes, summertime is over, all the cabin people go back home, we would shift all the way over here to the left, and let's say that we would shift to this curve L, and now we're still selling them for $4 a piece, but now our quantity sold is decreased to 4,000. So just how, even if your price doesn't change the same, population is one of those things that can change your demand for any product. Next one is changes in income. So same concept. Let's say that now we're selling 60-inch HD TVs, and we're starting on this green curve again. And let's say that our price right now is $800 a piece. So we're selling them for $800 a piece. Our quantity demanded is 6,000. So let's say that we're Best Buy or some big box store, and this is how many we sell per year. So at $800 a piece, we're going to sell 6,000 60-inch HD TVs this year. Let's say that the economy is booming. Stock prices are up, unemployment is down, wages are growing. If people have more income to spend, they're going to demand more of almost every single product. So HD TVs being one of those. So consumers' income is up. So we're going to shift to the right here. So we would shift to the right, and if we keep our price at $800, we are going to be selling 8,000 of these TVs now. Another way to look at this is, since we've now shifted to this curve to the right because people have more income, they have more money to spend, they're going to buy more at every possible price. So let's say we can't get more than 6,000 in to sell this year, so we can't sell 8,000. So rather than keep selling them at $800 a piece, we could sell them at $1,000 a piece on this new curve, still sell all 6,000 and just make some more money. And of course, just like in the last one, the opposite is also true. Let's say rather than people's income growing, people's income is shrinking, unemployment is up, wages are down, the stock market is crashing, we would shift from our starting point here to the left to curve L. And now for $800 a piece, we are only going to sell 4,000. So looking at this like we did before, we can also shift the price then if you want. So if we're on this new curve because people have less money, let's say we already ordered 6,000 TVs to sell this year. If we want to sell all of them, we need to drop the price. And we're going to have to drop the price to 600 here. So now if people have less money to spend and we want to sell all 6,000 of our TVs we ordered this year, we need to drop our price to $600. Next determinant of demand is changes in tastes and preferences. So basically when an item becomes a fad, something that people want. So one recent fad that we saw is fidget spinners. So if you think back a couple years ago, fidget spinners were all the rage, right? Everybody needed a fidget spinner. So let's say that prior to them becoming a fad, you know, when fidget spinners first came out, we were selling them for $4 a piece, and we sold 6,000 a month or whatever. So they become a fad. People start posting, you know, YouTube videos of them doing fidget spinner tricks or whatever. Now their curve shifts to the right. They become the item that everybody wants to have, and now at $4 a piece, we're selling 8,000. Eventually, that fad ran its course, just like every fad does. And now we're going to shift all back to the left. We would shift maybe all the way over here to the curve L. We're now at $4 a piece. We're only selling 4,000. So it's not just when an item becomes a fad either. Like I said, it's consumer taste and preferences. So right now, one of those things that consumers feel like they need to have are things like, antibacterial, soap. Things like hand sanitizer, things like toilet paper. Those are the items that are selling out of the stores right now because consumers' tastes have changed. Prior to the coronavirus, those things weren't as in demand. Now, they're very in demand. So the demand curve for all those products is shifting to the right, and you've seen that where some people have been price gouging or upping their prices on Amazon or eBay, and you can get twice as much, 5 times as much, 10 times as much for a bottle of hand sanitizer as you could 2 months ago, just because consumers' tastes and preferences have changed, pretty dramatically because of all the coronavirus stuff. Next determinant of demand is the availability and price of substitutes. So let's say that we're talking about butter. And again, let's say we're starting on this green curve, which is our default curve. And let's say that we're selling butter for $3 a pound right here. And we sell 5 million pounds of butter at $3 a pound. One substitute for butter is margarine. So, most things, you can say that you can use butter and margarine and, in place of each other. You probably have a preference between the two of them, but they're substitutes. They can be used in place of each other. And let's say that the price for margarine goes down. So nothing happened to the price for butter. It's still, $3 a pound. But now since margarine is cheaper, what's going to happen is more people buy margarine, which means less people buy butter, and we're going to be shifting to the left. So now rather than selling 5 million pounds of butter at $3 a pound, we're only selling 1 million pounds of butter. So again, we either have a surplus of butter, if we're still producing enough to sell 5 million, something's going to happen, and we're either going to have a surplus or we're going to have to drop our price. And if we want to sell all of our butter, we'd have to drop our price down to $2 a pound. Of course, the opposite is also true. Let's say that the price for margarine goes up. If the price for margarine goes up, we would shift to the right. And now let's say that we're on curve R. And now if we're still selling our butter for $3 a pound, we'd be selling 9 million pounds of butter. That's what the demand is anyways. That's what customers want if we're going to sell it at $3 a pound, since fewer of them are buying margarine. We have a couple options. If we can produce, that much butter, we could continue selling it for $3 a pound and sell 9 million pounds. Or if that level of production isn't possible, we would also have to increase our price. And let's say that 5 million is our max. We could increase our price to we could increase our price to $4 a pound and still sell 5 million pounds of butter. And then the last one that we'll talk about is the price of complementary goods. So complementary goods are just products that are often used together. So let's say we're talking about flash memory cards and digital cameras. So, high quality digital cameras, they require a flash memory card to store all the images that you take. So let's say that we're looking at the quantity of 32 gigabyte flash memory cards that are demanded. And if we're selling them for $8 a piece right here, let's say there are 6,000 that are being demanded. Now, let's say nothing happens to the price or anything for flash memory cards, but a product that they're often used in, digital cameras, a complementary good. Let's say that the price for digital cameras goes down. So high quality digital cameras that your parents can take really nice pictures on, they're now cheaper. So what's going to happen is more people are going to go out and buy cameras. And since more people are buying cameras, more people require flash memory cards to put in their cameras. So nothing changed with us. We're still selling them for $8 a piece. But since demand is increasing for a complementary good, demand is also increasing for our flash memory cards. So now selling them at $8 a piece rather than selling 6,000 like we were before, we'd be selling 8,000. And again, same concept we talked about before. We could increase the price and keep selling the same quantity as before. And also, if the price for digital cameras were to go up, digital cameras become more expensive. Now less people buy digital cameras, less people buy flash memory cards. We'd be shifting to the left to curve L. Hope that helped you understand the shifting demand curves. If you do have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me, and hopefully I can help clear anything up. Thanks for watching.